Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I am your host Sri Iyer. Today I am with Dr. Subramanian Swamy, member of Rajya Sabha, former Law, Justice and Commerce Minister. Dr. Swamy, welcome to P Guru's channel.
Yeah, thank you.
So Dr. Swamy has released a lot of books and he's about to release his next one, presumably on the 25th of September.
25th is September.
And there's going to be a very special person who's going to be releasing the book. And I don't want to give the surprise away. You'll know on social media. Now, this is about India's economy reset, it's called?
Yeah, the title is called Reset, How to Recover and recover our economic heritage.
So, sir, I read somewhere that you start looking at India's economy from 1870.
1870.
So what was the specific thing about the year 1870?
See, 1870, the British had taken over, British formally took over in 1857.
Yes, the government.
Victoria nationalized
Right.
East India Company and they then started directly administering
Right.
India. So from 1870 you find the various acts which today we have, you see, IPC,
Right.
CRPC, all these things began being enacted as British laws for those parts of Britain, those parts which Britain controlled directly. And actually at that time Britain's control over India was both direct and indirect. Directly some area, about 2/3, and 1/3 was through the princes administrating it with a resident Britisher sitting to see that nothing against the British is done.
Right.
So I thought it'll be interesting to answer this question. What if the British had not come? Because we had defeated the Mughals.
Right.
Bajirao finished them, and then in other parts of India also they had been wiped out, and there was no one worthwhile to succeed Aurangzeb. And so, I mean, in terms of cruelty and in terms of fanatic love for spreading Islam. So the issue was that since the British were administering it, and then the princes were administering it themselves, if you make a comparison between the two, and then I brought in China also, because China was harassed no end by the imperialists,
Right.
but still the Qing dynasty was ruling till 1912. After that, Sun Yat-sen took over, and then Chiang Kai-shek, and then Mao Zedong. But royalty was there right from the 16th century, 17th century to the early parts of the 20th century. So China was also administered by indigenous people, and they were being bled by foreigners. And in case of China, there were about 5-6 powers. The British reduced it first to 3, and the French and Portuguese were very weak, and afterwards it became all British. So what I was surprised to find is that the growth rate in the British administered areas was much lower than the princes administered areas.
Oh, I see. That's fascinating.
Yeah. So what was the reason? The reason is the British were siphoning the money and taking them out.
Right.
And I calculated the entire British period from 1857 to 1947. About $71 trillion in current prices.
Wow.
Was siphoned.
That's a very significantly high number.
Yeah. Whereas there was nothing that was siphoned out from the British side, except what they gave as bribes and things like that. So there's one thing to suggest that imperialism was the reason why we were kept back. And then there are specific instances. Indians were in a position to buy locomotives as early as 1853. And the British didn't allow it.
Yeah.
And then the Indian independence rebellion, first rebellion took place
1857.
They realized that lacking a railway system has hampered them. So what they did is they brought the railway system, and they took a 99-year covenant that they will be paid 5% interest
Oh wow.
on the money that they are investing in the railways.
I see.
5% for
very
99
big numbers.
years.
Very big numbers.
Huh.
Wow.
I mean, they must have got 10 times over.
Yeah.
So, but they also said that it should not be used by the Indians
Mm.
for rebellion. So, some place they put narrow gauge, some place they put broad
Meter
gauge,
gauge.
somewhere
Yeah,
meter gauge.
make it harder to
To go from one part of
There's
India.
another interesting thing about this, sir. If you look at where the train track stopped
Huh.
and where the palace of the protectorate was, it will be no more than 1 to 1.5 kilometers.
Oh.
I'll give you an example. Cantonment in Bangalore,
Ah,
Vidhan Saula, where
Yes,
that was to be the palace.
yes.
Same thing in Hyderabad also.
That's
There's a
right.
place called Nampalli,
Yeah.
which is just across the river. Is
Right.
the used to be the
Yeah.
King's Palace.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so these and the residence was also within 1 kilometer. They never went too far away.
That's
They
right.
wanted to be able to respond
That's right.
right
That's
away.
right. So first time I dug out all this thing. Although I had Harvard University's own journal, Quarterly Journal of Economics, in 1979, I had published it was then become a classic paper in economic history of India. But then I thought I should elaborate it. So that's one chapter. Then I dealt with the Soviet economic model. 40 years we grew at only 3.5% per
Right,
year.
right.
And these rascals, communists, they called it the Hindu rate of
Hindu
growth.
rate of growth. Yeah. Adding insult to injury.
Okay, so, some more. Okay,
for you.
so, yeah, don't worry. So, you know, I said that India could have become a developed country by 1990. But because we adopted the Soviet model, and that was really because of Jawaharlal Nehru, and the loss of both Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Patel, who were totally against this centralized planning and all that. And we lost an opportunity. Then I showed that in the reforms brought a bit by Chandrasekhar and then by Narasimha Rao, I was a minister in both governments.
Right,
And there all we did was deregulation.
right.
But we didn't do any economic reform as such.
Right, right.
It was passed off as economic reform.
Yeah.
But
Removing
even
shackles.
that raised our growth rate to 8%
Right,
in
right,
5 years.
Right, right.
You see. And since then we have not had economic reforms. I mean, they call it economic reforms, but it's all tinkering.
Mm.
So then I deal with the 2 chapters of last 5 years very critically,
That's
because
true.
I have a reputation in economics.
That's true. That's true.
And I can't compromise it because
Of course.
nincompoops in the
Yeah.
government don't know what is macroeconomics and microeconomics. So I pointed out all the wrong things done, and I'm saying I'm not saying it now. I said in 2015 in op-eds and in
I
my
remember the one in
speeches.
Hindu and other
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
So everything I said this will happen has happened.
Yes.
We are literally on a tailspin now. So then I conclude that what is the possibility of our becoming? We are already the 3rd largest GDP
By
country in the world.
PPP, right.
PPP. Yeah, that is the only way to compare.
That is
How
true.
can I compare
Right,
with exchange rate? Tomorrow I devalue, that means my
Yeah.
per capita income has gone down.
Right.
Rubbish.
Right, that's right,
Uh-huh.
that's right. See, that is the point that people don't understand,
Uh-huh.
and politicians go and parrot out the same thing that their
Yeah.
babus put out.
Yes.
And okay, so we can go into some specifics. So
Yeah.
I'll just let you finish your.
So then I say, okay, today if you want to turn it around, 7% is not enough. For full employment in 10 years, you need 10% growth
Right.
rate. And I then pointed out that 10%, I mean, our people who don't know economics, they are going on talking about foreign investment, money, this, that. But really what changes economic growth is not moving along the same curve, but jumping from curve to curve.
Correct.
That means going from one innovation to another.
Right.
The railways changed everything. After that, aeroplanes changed everything. Now internet has changed everything.
Correct.
So and we all got this huge potential of the youngest population in the world. 70% of our population is below the age of 35.
Right.
So you train them well, education. So education gets no priority.
Right.
We ought to, and our people, even in this third-rate education that we get system, when they go to America, they suddenly flower.
Yes.
You see.
Why is that?
Yeah, because the native ability is there. So I've highlighted what are the innovations we want for water desalination, for being freed from fuel from Arab countries.
You bring up water, which is a very critical thing. You take away a critical worry in the mind of the commoner when he gets up every day. I mean, maybe, middle class can afford tankers and they don't have that much of a critical issue.
Because it's a racket.
I know, that's but what I'm saying is, you have to take away this simple, pinpricks every day. Water problem. Where do I get my water?
Yeah, you
that
can get
stuff.
you can get 24 hours a day. You can get water, pure water, and it's not that it's not tried in India. There are two places I've seen. One is the Kalpagam nuclear reactor.
Right.
The municipality told the atomic energy, we can't give you water. And so they set up desalination plants. And the only place in Tamil Nadu where the people in the residence get 24 hours a day water is the Kalpagam. Same thing in Jamnagar. Reliance set up a oil refinery. And the Jamnagar municipality said, where are we going to give you all this water that you're asking? So they decided to set up a desalination plant, which I visited. And now they are not only meeting all their water needs, but they are actually selling to Jamnagar municipality.
Of course. Yeah.
So, because it's a long coastline, fighting with Kaveri, I mean, that's why I asked the Tamils, when they asked me, what is your stand? Are you with us or you are with Kannadigas? So I said, first you tell me whether you want water or you want Kaveri water. So if you want Kaveri water, I'm not with you. That's not enough. But you want water, I can provide as much as you want.
Right. So some of the things that this is just for the general public. Anytime the government announces a policy, because of the size of India, there's always going to be some job losses. I'll give you an example. Auto industry, much is being made out of it because the government said that we want to go towards electric vehicles, and suddenly that is going. They said we're going away from plastic. A lot of plastic companies, but this is a good problem, and there should be a way for these people to get on to the next generation in terms of a car manufacturer, all he has to take out is the petrol transmission and put instead the electric transmission. They are the best position. They are the best position to do this. But somehow there is always these details get left out.
It's not that. What is the problem is that the people in power do not know the difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics.
That's true.
Macroeconomics is a general equilibrium system, and there are no standard laws. In microeconomics, you can say that if the demand rises, prices will rise. If prices fall, demand will rise. If prices rise, the supply will also rise. Therefore, those are where it's a one-to-one relationship. But when you have, normally I give the example of the U.S. president. I think it was Hoover.
Herbert Hoover,
who called his economists and said, elections are coming and there's too much unemployment. How do I reduce it? So they said this collective bargaining of labor and all has raised wages. So you tell the unions that after the election you can raise it again, but reduce it 10% now. So they agreed. I mean, he agreed, Hoover agreed, and the labor unions also agreed. And they thought that the unemployment would be wiped out. But what happened is unemployment increased, even though wages came down. The reason is that once the wages come down, purchasing power also goes down.
Right.
Same thing with this Raghuram Rajan. He calls himself an economist. He's a business school character.
IoT turned IIM turned.
Yeah, that's right. It's a general equilibrium system, and you have to have a lot of sophistication to see how it's all put together. He said, I'll raise interest rates to control inflation. This is the inflation that came during the period 2009 to 2014.
Yes.
And then he continued it when we were there. And Mr. Jaitley didn't know ABC of economics. I mean, he didn't know ABC of law also, because I've been through the journals of the Supreme Court. There's not one judgment that he has given which is. And I, without being a lawyer, has got 25. But anyway, the thing is that he kept on raising. And his defenders were telling me, you see, we have to do some thing, this is bitter medicine and all that. We have to bring down this inflation. I said, a doctor can bring down the temperature of a patient by killing him. And that's one solution. So that's what is happening. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister got convinced and sacked him. So that was a great thing that happened. But even today, we have not rolled it back.
That's true.
So these small and medium industries whose cost of capital went up, they started folding up.
Yes.
So while we are controlling inflation, there was unemployment also going up. So this is what I call as a lack of microeconomics. And simple, suddenly if the Prime Minister says there is $5 trillion by 2024, and presently it is half that. That means doubling in 5 years. If you double in 5 years, there's a thumb rule in economics. 72 divided by the rate of growth is equal to doubling. So doubling in, so how many years? For 5 years. So 72 divided by 5 is the rate of growth required.
So 14.4%.
14.4%.
Assuming inflation of 4%, at least 10% you need
That's
to grow.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now
Actually, I doubt 4% inflation, sir. I don't see Indian prices going up that much over the last few years.
Yeah, no.
That too is
leave aside that, but the fact is that whatever it is, you are not able to 14% in real terms. It's not possible just now.
Right.
It is possible in the future, but we have not prepared our economy for it, like we prepared it in Narasimha Rao's time. So you have to incentivize the people, not by threatening them, have raids in your house and so on. I mean, you have raids in politicians' house, we'll all like it, but not businessmen, because they have come on a culture where it has all been acceptable. And suddenly you want them to change around in 5 minutes.
Right.
It can't be done. That's why I'm taking the other way around. Abolish income tax.
Right. So you not only want to abolish personal income tax, not corporate, just personal income tax, but you also want to normalize GST, don't you? I mean, making it simpler in terms of codification.
GST is a disaster. And then they had a private company to do the whatever they have.
Yeah, they're managing GST and the network manage the GST.
Network,
Right.
And the software.
Yes.
And they paid $4,000 crores to
1,500 crores. That was a
originally
contract, and then it went down to 5,500. Yes.
So and the guys haven't produced anything.
Yes.
They are bloody crooks. And the finance minister of state for finance, his wife becomes a director of Infosys.
Yes.
So
That was,
fortunately, I raised such a stink
yours,
that the Prime Minister finally nationalized
Correct.
GST.
So there's some interesting thing that I found out about it, and I don't know if it's still true or not. See, when GSTN was being controlled by private companies, ICICI and HDFC, two private banks, were enjoying the float.
Yeah.
I believe that has not changed.
Well, no, I got a question and answered. I think they have now changed in last 2 months.
I see. So it's like SBI
Took about 8
that's getting...
They brought in. What they were doing, see, GST's idea was we'll collect tax at the place it's sold.
Right.
But then previously the system was where you manufacture also you pay taxes also where you sell. And so the question became, now the place of manufacture is going to lose its revenue. So you have to compensate it. So what they did is amended the constitution and said indirect taxes also be collected by the central government.
Oh, I see.
And they don't have the machinery.
Right.
Okay. But anyway, they have been collecting and depositing in ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank, and then said that as soon as the that software is ready, then we will draw the money from your thing. Now software is not ready. So all that money is lying, these people are lending it for 10 days and 20 days.
Right. Right.
The amount of money these people have made, the ICICI Bank
It's
and
true.
above, now they're all in corruption,
Correct.
corrupt act. In fact, Mr. Jaitley even condemned the CBI for questioning
That's right.
the boss.
He was convalescing in New York.
Yeah, and he was
started
giving a
saying-
statement from there.
Right.
So I mean, this kind of Brazilian
Mhm.
system of close collaboration between various interests, that's ruining our country.
What I heard though, sir, is GST refunds are improving in timeline. It used to be months, now it's getting a little bit better. I don't know what your information
No,
is.
nothing. This is all spin. I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
any of this. Just harassment. People are claiming, what is it called, their returns. I mean, they pay and then later on collect.
Credits.
Even when they have not paid.
Yeah, there is some scam that has been going on. That is right.
Yeah.
So
Any system which is not simple in India will be manipulated.
That's
We are
right.
too intelligent for that. So it's all manipulated. It's a disastrous system. It's like demonetization too. I've said that in your program earlier.
Yes.
If you had said that all the cash you have, no questions asked, you deposit in your own bank account, and government will collect 15%. You take out 25% for your cash needs, and the remaining 60% will remain in fixed deposit for 5 years.
And you're giving like 2% or something.
2%, yeah, 2%. People would have done it.
Right.
Here, when I gave this proposal, it was Shishi Ravishankar who told me that the Prime Minister wants some suggestions. So I gave him this suggestion. He sent it to the Finance Ministry, quite impressed with the proposal. And the Finance Ministry put 50%
Correct.
instead of 15%. Now bank employees are giving you at 15%.
Right. True. There
Why,
was
why
a-
should I be a fool and pay 50% and have my name also written in the register?
Yeah. There was also an unfortunate consequence in that they didn't have time to check the counterfeit notes when the money was
Yeah,
coming in.
that's right. Now more money has come in than we printed.
Yes.
The only explanation is
Counterfeit.
Counterfeit.
Well, there is a research paper that said that Pakistan was buying paper way beyond the needs of
no,
their own currency.
why? Because Mr. Chidambaram, this is another case that has
De La
come.
Rue, you're talking about
De La Rue.
Yeah.
Where the CBI told him, the IB told him, RAW told him, this is the same private company in England which prints currency paper for Pakistan.
Right.
So if they produce your currency paper, Pakistan can buy your currency paper also,
Right.
and then make it into counterfeit.
Yes.
And it will be very difficult to detect. That's what.
Correct. Now, moving forward, the GST, there's one unfortunate thing, even that's not in across the board. Like, for example, states do not levy GST on liquor and petroleum. So,
No use nitpicking. The best thing is to scrap it and reduce the number of items for excise tax to just 22. They give you 90% of the revenue.
correct. So you're
Why
going by the Pareto principle.
4,731?
Yeah, you're going by the Pareto principle. Usually,
Yeah.
80% is all in 20%. Just go
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
Forget the other things.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not in favor of continuing with GST.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not. It's supposed to have stopped when you're crossing state boundaries. GST has made it not necessary for you to stop, because that used to be another collection point for the bribes.
You do a direct action. Why do you have it?
Well, I mean that's supposed to be one of the benefits of GST, that you don't have to do it
It
because
is
the
a wonderful,
collections-
it's like being in a harem. Your food, bed and lodging is all guaranteed. Come on now.
I thought you'll give me an example, but this one was out of the world. So, well, good luck for your book, sir. Thank
Yeah,
you very
my
much.
book is about time because long years of working at it. Fortunately I found time. But the real thing is I've given a prescription.
Mm.
But you must understand the prescription. I mean, novices can't implement what I'm
So,
suggesting.
I'm reminded of what happened in Mahabharata when Ganesha sat down to write.
Yeah.
He said, "I write very fast, so you have to really recite very
Yeah,
fast."
yeah.
And then Vyasa started giving long words. Well, he put a condition.
Yeah,
condition.
you must write as soon as I speak.
No, you have to understand what I'm saying
Yeah.
and then write. So then he slowed down. At one point, he was going so slow. I mean, he was going so far that, and his pen broke. So he cut off his trunk and he started writing with that. That's why he has Vakratunda. So thank you very much, Dr. Swami. All the best for your book.
Sure.
Thank you.